We're good? All right. Peace and blessings, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Sabbath. We made it another week. Woo! Another week. Hey, it's hard sometimes to get there, but we're here. So all praise to the Most High for that. Thanking Him for His holy day, His rest day. Take advantage of it. Keep it holy. So today I'm going to talk about spiritual communication. That's the title of the lesson, spiritual communication. And usually I do this in a series where it comes, I think, either after energy or either after the science of the spirit. I'm not sure, but whenever I do all, I think it's a 4-part series. When I do all of them, I'll put it all in a playlist in the order that you should watch it, so that it should flow together. But I want to do this now, so I'm gonna do it now. So when you're talking about communication, obviously there's many ways that you can communicate. You can't get.
I need.
There's many ways that you can communicate. Obviously you got verbal. You have body language. But you actually have spiritual communication, which can involve a combination of both of them. And I'm pretty sure you got all kind of other ways. You have sign language. You have all types of things. So we're going to focus on how spiritual communication works. Because a lot of times people say stuff, but do they really understand what they're saying? It all depends. I've had conversations or overheard conversations, not that I was being nosy or anything, but I just overheard conversations. And I'm like, okay, I don't think he or she understand quite the significance of what's going on. So they'll say, I caught a bad vibe. Well, how did you catch it? What does that mean? So I'm going to jump right into it. And I'm going to deal with some words that we all are, I'm sure, familiar with. And then we'll get into the scriptures. So the first word is broadcast. Now, what is a broadcast? It's going to make a lot more sense after we go through the lesson where we're talking about how important words are and what they mean, especially in the English language. But broad is like wide, right? And so when you're casting something, you're throwing it out, like fishing pole, you're casting. So a broadcast is a wide range that you're casting something to, but what is it that you're casting out? Well, a TV or radio station is considered a broadcasting station. When you look up the word or the definition, that's what it's going to tell you. Transmit a program or some information by radio or television. Now, I do want to do some stuff on TV and radio and the influence it has. So I'm not going to go deep into broadcasting, but to transmit or to be able to send or change over, that's big when you're talking about from a radio or TV, because we're all affected by radio or TV in some form or fashion. It may now not be as much as it used to because they have more methods. You have your phones, you have your tablets and things like that. But notice it says a program. Now, what is a program? What is a program? Well, obviously, when you're programming something, you're setting it up to function a certain way, right? That's programming. But the word pro is usually, for or something good, right? And then you have gram. What is a gram? Is a gram based off? Is a gram based off of this Bible study? Is a gram based off of weight system, or is it based off of something else? Well, whenever we talk about the words, we're definitely going to talk about gram, but I'm not going to do too much now. I'll just say this: it's not good. It's not good at all. So you have a radio or television program transmission, right? That's what a broadcast is, or broadcasting network is. It's a network because it's a bunch of them together, right? So considering this thing, how is it that they broadcast to us that whatever it is, the signals, whether it's music, TV, whatever, is over the airwaves, right? And what is it exactly that's traveling over the airwaves that's getting to us? If you ever thought about it, you can go to the radio station could be miles and miles away, right? And so they play a song and you're instantly hearing it wherever you're at. It's traveling that fast. And all you need is a few things that we're going to cover, like, for example, an antenna or some form of one. And it travels, it connects, and you can hear it, right? Nobody ever thinks of, like, how does this work? Does this even make sense? Is this something that's man-made, or is this something that sounds a little supernatural? I'm going to be honest. If I could pick up my phone and call somebody in Japan instantly and talk, that sounds supernatural. That doesn't sound like man. I've never seen a man just yell and somebody on the side of the world hear him, right? He's using some type of technology. So, like I said, when I go into the other videos, I'm trying not to do too much. So we're going to move on. So, look, it's energy. I can't say that. It's energy. So you got good energy, you got bad energy, or positive energy, you got negative energy. So they are broadcasting a form of energy over the airwaves that's getting to us. And we're taking it only from what we can hear, but not how it makes us feel. And that's one of the problems. I tell people all the time when we have these type of conversations, music is very influential. It's influential in the Bible, to the types of instruments, to the types of beats, to what's being said over those instruments and beats. It's very influential. And since we're talking about instruments, it's very instrumental that you know this. Energy is not just coming over the airwaves in the form of sound. It's not. That's why it makes you feel a certain way. It can make you feel good. It can make you feel bad. It's not because of your thoughts. You can have negative thoughts, right? But you jump and you're mad, you get ready to go get in a shootout. You jump in the car and you get ready to do a drive-by. You don't put on Mississippi Mass Choir or Kirk Franklin. Nobody says, turn on that Fred Hammond, we're finna go slide on these. No, don't do that. You know why? Because that's going to change their spirit, their mindset, their mood. So it's very important what type of energy is being broadcasted over the airwaves. We're moving on to the second one, which is station. Because they broadcast it from a station or a stationary location. What is a station? When you go and look into the etymology, it lets you know it's a spiritual location. It's in there. You have a physical location, but it's a spiritual location as well. So now we have a building, right? We have a location. And it's broadcasting energy over the airways from their location. So now we're moving on to the next one, right? The next one is frequency. Now, this is how the energy is sent out. It's sent out in different frequencies. Now, I'm not going to get into the different hertz and things like that, but that's basically what you're getting into then. But those things matter because that's how it travels. So imagine if you were trying to get a job done in a certain amount of time and you had to get to a place, you have different ways you could travel, right? You're going to take the most efficient form of travel, whether it be car, whether it be a horse back in the day, whatever it was or is, you're going to say, look, we're trying to travel a certain speed by a certain time. Those frequencies are able to do that. And in those frequencies, they are carrying a certain type of energy that's being broadcasted from a radio station or a TV station. These things is going to come together now. Now, these frequencies, the way they travel is in waves. In the way that our body receives them over these airwaves or by different vibrations. Not just talking about if it's a lot of bass and you can feel that vibration in your foot and all that. when you're sitting down. No. Yes, that is a part of it. But these vibrations is something that your body is naturally receiving. You really can't stop your body from receiving it. That's why it's important to know what you're listening to, because your body starts picking up vibrations or what we call vibes. Now, when people say, I caught a bad vibe or a good vibe, they should be able to understand, because some kind of way it was broadcasted from a station over the airwaves, sending certain frequencies to you, and you picked up the vibe. Now, we know that what was broadcasted was energy, whether it be good energy or bad energy that was broadcasted is determining whether it be good energy or bad energy that you picked up in the vibe or the vibration. Let's pause for a second, because we're talking about physical communication this whole time, but the lesson is spiritual communication. So before we go any further, out of all the places for me to try to write, I went exactly where the line is on the table. Anyway, so in order for us to get the parallel between the physical or the body and the spiritual and what's going on, we have to put ourselves in the same situation. What if I'm like a radio station? Because I can send out energy, whether it be good or bad. And wherever I'm stationed at is like my radio station, my location, right? And my spiritual location, wherever I'm at physically, and also wherever I am at spiritually with the Most High, or wherever you are at spiritually with Satan, will determine what type of frequency and energy you're broadcasting over the waves. Because remember, at a radio station, you can't look in the air and see these waves coming, right? That's a spiritual thing. Same thing whenever you as an individual are sending out or broadcasting energy. Nobody can see it. It works the same way. You just feel the vibe or the vibration. This is why certain people walk in the room and people say, yeah, the room changed when he came in here. Why? Because he or she has a lot of energy that they're broadcasting from their station. And it's traveling in frequencies too. And people be like, man, I caught a bad vibe when he came around. No different than they played a certain song and I caught a bad vibe. It works the same. So now that we know that we are broadcasting certain types of energy, it matters what we do, what we say, our body language. All these things matter, because when you go around places, people, wherever you are at in life, spiritually, that is your location or your station. And you're going to, in many ways, broadcast all types of energy. And when this energy is sent out, other people are going to pick up on it through vibrations or waves. So now we're moving on to the next word, which is antenna. Should be pretty basic. Everybody know what the antenna is, right? That's what you use. It's like a metal stick or rod that you use to draw in the energy or the waves or the frequencies, however you want to look at it, right? So whenever you're drawing in these waves with your antenna, that's how you are able to receive the broadcast from a station. It works the same way in the flesh, spiritually. Whenever a person is broadcasting something, your antenna is going to draw in certain things. So what do you think the antenna would be as far as on your body? It would be your mind, exactly. Going right back to that pineal gland that we just talked about. So whenever your mind or your antenna is drawing in things from people, you have to be able to rule or control your mind, which I'm going to get to in the next few words. But this is why it says in the Bible, cast down imaginations, right? This is why it says, create in me a new heart and a renewed mind, right? Because sometimes you got to fix your antenna, because the people that you are around, whether they be good or bad, that's what you're going to draw in. we do know we got metal in our body, right? So you don't have to have an antenna sticking up in the sky anymore. Like, remember them old cars back in the day, they had the antennas? But a lot of cars now don't have. You don't. I said remember.
No, I do remember because they didn't have the metal all long and stuff. It just be confusing. It just be wobbling.
Yeah, here it is. See, 15. 16. Oh, I'm sorry, 16. 16. Anyway. So we're going to continue. The antenna, a lot of times now they're built in. So you don't have to have them on the back of the car or the little antennas they would have on the back of the stereos. You had to, I know you remember, you had to pull the stereo antenna out and you be trying to get it right now. Don't let it be a storm. You can't watch nothing that day. People be beating on the TV box. Remember all that? Mm-hmm. Well, see, now they got a little bit more proficient in how they doing things. And they have the antenna built on the inside. Makes sense, right? Because our antenna is built on the inside of us and our mind. It's almost as if somebody has already known this and said, well, let's pattern this after man. So the antenna that's inside of us is the same metal that would be on the outside. It draws in the waves. So the next one is channel, because you have to change the channel in order to get a different broadcast, right? So whatever the station is, you might say, I don't like this station. Let me change the channel so that I can get a different broadcast, which is a different set of frequencies or waves or vibrations that you are able to pick up, or the device that you're using is able to pick up, right? So the channel uses the antenna to connect the wave frequencies from the station. Now, whenever you're talking spiritually, what is it called whenever you're trying to get a different type of spirit? You channel it. So this is now going into the field of how witchcraft and stuff is operated. When they're going to mediums and channeling spirits, it's because they don't like the channel they're on, and they have found out how to manipulate the vibes and the wave frequencies from different broadcasts or stations. And so they're doing that in the spiritual realm on their physical bodies, or in their lives rather. And so they are using what we would call on a radio a tuner. So a tuner is how you tune into the exact station, right? Like even whenever we would watch TV back in the day, what they would say, they would tell you to tune in to the next one. Because when you tune something, you're getting it exactly right. It's kind of like a guitar or any type of string instrument. You would have to fine tune it until you get that exact sound you're looking for. And after you tune it, and then you get the sound, it messes me up because I'm seeing her back there like she'll be tuning stuff. That y'all throwing me out, but anyway. So when you get that exact tune that you're looking for, that is exactly the same thing that's changing the channel, just a different way. So you change the channel with the remote, or you may go to whatever the device is. It may have a button, but that is also tuning. You're getting it to the exact channel. So you could go one by one when you're tuning. Then you have another option, which is called scan or a scanner. And that's when you hit it one time and it skips straight through to the next station that's actually cleared. It's tuning it for you. So you can tune it to an exact station, or you can hit the scan or scanner button and it will skip all the weak stations and tune in to where it is a strong station. Now, that station, all these stations, once again, are broadcasts, and they're traveling in frequencies that are picked up in waves of vibrations by the antenna. So, in your physical life, your body, spiritually, you have to learn how to tune stuff out or tune stuff in. You have to learn how to change the channel when things are not going right. A lot of us will complain about life and stay staring at the same channel. Can you imagine? I don't like this show, but you just keep watching. Change the channel. Or if you have a set network that you're trying to watch, tune in, right? That's what they say. But sometimes, whenever you are doing tune versus scanning, there's a word biblically that we're doing whenever we're doing this in the spiritual realm. So remember, to tune, you're hitting the button for each individual station. When you're scanning it, you hit the button and it does it for you. See, scan is more so like discernment. See, whenever you get to a point spiritually in your life where you that discernment pick up, you don't have to skip through every single station to find what you're looking for. Your mind is already on the Most High. All you got to do is hit the button one time and it's going to scan for you. Like, look, I know this ain't for me. I'm going to skip all this. I'm going to skip all this. Here it is, right here. That's what we're looking for. That is what the scan option is for spiritually, because you already know what channel you want. It's preset in your mind. Your antenna is already designed to draw in the God or good energy, because the Most High is always broadcasting from his station. And those are the frequencies we have to tune into by praying and fasting when you're talking about your physical body. But sometimes when you're trying to change the channel, whenever you're trying to tune in to the Most High, you get something called static. No different than on the radio, right? No different than on the TV. Especially back in the day when it was cable and it wasn't digital. You get static, you get all them lines on the TV, you get static on the radio, and it's like, man, there's two stations kind of coming in. That's confusion, right? I don't even know which station it's on. That's static. That static is called interference. Who do you think is running the interference in your personal life when there's static? Exactly, because Satan has a broadcaster network. Satan has a station spiritually that he is sending out frequencies from. You talk about good energy and bad energy. Why do you think there's so many beliefs out here? It's only one truth, right? It's all, I don't care what you're dealing with. It's only one truth when you're talking about the whole truth. And it's a bunch of lies. There's one station, one truth, one way, one life, right? One baptism, one station for us to tune into. But it's so many other broadcasts around that's playing my jam. I feel like I got to listen to this one. I feel like I need to scan the Most High station and skip over, because this station over here is good for me. And that's what gets us in trouble. Because then when we come back and say, well, it's the Sabbath, it's time for me to tune in to the Most High, we're waiting until the Sabbath to tune in. But we've had so many other waves and frequencies. Our station or our broadcasting network or our receiving antenna is getting static now. There's interference from Satan because you just was listening to him and now you're lukewarm. Now he is trying to still give you his music or his programming rather, while you're trying to get programmed by the Most High. So whenever there's static in your life, you know that's interference from Satan. Let me tune in to the Most High broadcast and cast down these imaginations from my antenna or my mind, right? Let's move on. So you got the microphone and the speakers. We forget about this because the mic is how you get the words out, right? And that will be your mouth. And the speakers is how you hear, right? That will be your ears. Those are the two biggest things when you're talking about spiritual communication. What you send out and what you take in, your mouth and your ears. Sometimes you need to learn how to hit the mute button. We're talking about all the other things, but what about the mute button? Sometimes you need to know when to turn up the volume, turn down the volume. And see, all these things are things that we look at in a technical world and a broadcasting system, but we're not understanding that each and every one of us are an individual broadcasting system. And we sending out all types of energy over the airwaves from our station that we are located spiritually. Wherever you're at spiritually, that's what you're sending out. And we're not understanding that we still have an antenna because we're picking up other people's broadcasts. So remember, change the channel, connect or tune in to the Most High, scan or skip over certain stations when you can discern this is not of the Most High, and that will eliminate a lot of your static or interference. Now let's get to the scriptures, my favorite part. Let's get Proverbs 18 and 21, and let's see how the Bible actually lines up with some of these things. Proverbs 18 and 21, and it reads, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof." So when you're talking about death and life in the power of the tongue, that means, remember, that microphone that you're speaking through, it's broadcasting. And you could be broadcasting life or death for someone's antenna to pick up, because those frequencies are going to travel. And you may not see it because you can't see those waves traveling. However, when someone else picks up on what you're saying, you could be responsible for broadcasting that type of energy. Let's continue. Let's get Luke 24 and 17. That's Luke chapter, 24? 24 and 17. All right. And he said unto them, "What manner of communications are these that you have one to another as you walk and are sad?" So he's questioning the different types of communications they have, and he's letting you know when you're walking around and you're sad, that's still a form of communication that you are sending out, because that sad energy is leaving you. You're broadcasting that you're sad to everyone, but somebody else gonna pick up on that, and they're gonna be sad too. If y'all think that's a stretch, some of y'all that's done had little babies and raised them up, remember when your child or your baby would be around somebody else baby start crying, and your baby start crying. And you like, ain't nothing going on. Well, he crying because he crying. I wonder, could we be talking about the same thing? This is why the things that you do, not just say the things that you do matter. The type of aura that you have on you matter. The way you carry yourself matter. Why you think he tell you when you fast, you're supposed to carry yourself a certain way? It's not just because you're not supposed to be boasting about fasting, and you walking around and people looking at you so that you can get the appearance factor, like, oh man, he fasted. Also, if you are down, a lot of people are saying, what's wrong? Because they can see that. A lot of people are going to be down that's not going to say what's wrong, because they pick up that type of energy, and you could be sending out energy that you don't even realize you're sending it out, because their antenna may not be built to take in what you're putting out. Let's continue. Let's get Ephesians 4 and 29. No warning. Ephesians 4 and 29. Is that right? All right. Oh, it's still out. It's all good. "Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth." Y'all see that? That's communication again. But now you have corrupt communication. Now that communication is what you're broadcasting from your station, and it's being sent over frequencies, and people are picking them up in vibes or waves, right? And see, the Bible knew this, and this is why he said, don't let corrupt communication come out, because that's negative energy, right? So then it says, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto your hearers. So what should be coming out of your mouth is edification, something that will lift people up, because the things that you say, it's not just what's heard, but it's also what's felt. Let's continue. Let's get Colossians 3 and, oh no, I got more of this. Let's continue. My fault. 4 and 30. All right. "And grieve not the Holy Spirit, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. These are different ways that you communicate to people. And this is why he's saying you don't do these things, because you don't know how a person is going to take what you're doing. So don't be bitter. Don't show wrath. Don't be angry. Don't speak evil things. You got to put these things away. It's always someone watching. Remember, like they would tell you in the household, don't have arguments in front of your children. Your kids are always watching. Nobody's perfect. It's going to happen. But it's one of those things where they're going to pick that up. And you wonder why they grow up and do certain things. It's like, well, look at what you taught them without intentionally teaching them. How did you teach them? Through your spiritual communication and your physical communication without verb. Let's continue. Let's get Colossians 3:8. Colossians chapter 3, verse 8. You good? You do what you do. I ain't even tripping.
Showing him off.
What?
You just gotta ignore what I'm doing.
Oh, you good? I didn't. It's just it's random because I see it with what Melody calls bombastic side. I see it. That's what you call it, right? You don't think I'll be paying attention? I'll be paying attention. Colossians 3:8. Y'all ain't never heard of Mr. Bombastic? That's Shaggy. That's Shaggy. Y'all don't know, man. Look, I ain't got time for this.
You're just showing your age.
I'm sorry. I'm not showing no age. I'm really young. Colossians 3:8. Y'all got to stay focused now. I'm sorry, y'all. This is what happens when you have family Bible study. Colossians 3:8. But now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. So now it's getting to the point. Not only is it naming these things again, because these things are important. Things that you do trigger other people. But it's letting you know even filthy communication. You don't have that with people because you don't know, once again, you don't know how people are going to take it. A lot of times, you know how many times people have been like, I didn't think they was going to take it like that. And it's like, well, it ain't for you to think about it. You don't know how a person could, you don't know where a person is at in their spiritual location. It might be one thing that's going to set them off, and here goes that one thing out of your mouth or your actions. Because where they're at that time, they can't handle it. They might have handled it every other time, any other day, but not that day. How people say, not today. It would have been that day, and you're like, well, you know what? I didn't even expect for you to take it like that. That's not what my intentions. It doesn't matter about your intentions. Just don't do it. Watch what you say. Watch what you broadcast. Watch what you do. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Is that right? Yeah. Yes. Be not deceived. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. So you could be a good person. You can have a good heart. You can have good actions, good manners normally. But guess what? Evil communications will mess that up. So now you got to find out, what does the Bible call evil? Not what man call evil. Not what religion call evil. Not what church call evil. What does the Bible call evil? Because if you communicate these things in any kind of way, if you broadcast these things from your station, you don't know what it's going to do to other people, but it does say it will corrupt good manners. Maybe it's not just talking about it's going to mess up your good manners. You might mess up another good person with your evil communications. All right, let's continue. Let me see. Let's get, Philemon. I hope I'm saying that right. We don't go there that often. I got to correct it back there. We'll say it again. Philemon. I'm going to go with Philemon because it just sounds better. And if you are correct, then you are correct. I don't even know why this is in here, to be honest. Because I'm looking at this and it don't have no notes by it. And the last time we had something with no notes by it, you know how that went. But that's cool. Like I said, I'm not looking at it. So Philemon 1 and 4, we're gonna go and see. We're gonna go and see 1 and 4 through 6. Okay. I thank my God, making mention of thee in all. No, it doesn't say okay, let's start at 1 and 4. I thank my God, making mention of thee always in my prayers. That is communication. How many of us are broadcasting to the Most High? We broadcast to each other, even ourselves sometimes. How many of us are broadcasting to the Most High? That's what this is. I thank my God, making mention of thee always in my prayers, hearing of thy love and faith, which thou hast toward the Lord Jesus, and toward all saints, that the communication of thy faith may become effectual by the acknowledgement of every good thing which is in you in Christ Jesus. That's what I got. Verse 6. So, 1 and 6. Y'all see that though? The communication of thy faith. So your faith is shown. We all know that faith without works is dead. Faith has to be shown. It can't just be believed in the mind and heart. It has to be displayed in some form or fashion. So when it says the communication of thy faith, your faith is being communicated. It's being broadcasted. Other people can see your faith, not just the Most High. Your lack of faith or your abundance of faith. People are going to acknowledge it, whether it's good or bad. So that's another thing. Don't start talking about God to people and you don't have no faith, because that's going to make them lose faith. Why do you think so many people fall away from the Bible now? Because they don't see people following it, and they don't see faith. They hear faith all the time. They're not seeing the miracles. They're not seeing certain things that would promote their faith. Remember, faith comes by hearing. Hearing is a form of that antenna, because to have hearing, someone has to be broadcasting. Someone has to be sending something over the airwaves, whether it be literal, physical, spiritual, symbolic, however you want to look at it. For you to hear something, something has to be put out. And if faith comes by hearing, then someone from their station has to be broadcasting faith. If you are representing the Most High, you have to be broadcasting faith. Or whenever you broadcast lack of faith, because there is no in between, whenever you broadcast lack of faith, all of those who tune into your station will receive that. That's something to think about. If you know you're not there, maybe you shouldn't be broadcasting. Let's continue. All right, so let's get Matthew 12 and 33.
I got Matthew 5.
Matthew 5.
And 33. Is it 12?
Okay, let's do Matthew 5 then. If I got it on there, let's do it. Matthew 5 and 33. Let me see. Yeah, we can do that. Matthew 5 and 33. I'm wondering now what 12 is. Because it's the same thing on my paper, 33 through 37.
But you got 12?
I got 5 and 12 on here. So I don't know. It's all good. Matthew 5 and 33. It says, again, ye have heard that it has been said by them of old time, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. So that tells me my people back in the day was not just swearing to God, they were swearing on Jerusalem. That's tough. Good gracious. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou cannot make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, yea, Nay, nay. So yes or no, basically. For whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. Nobody don't want to receive that type of communication. All that, I swear to God. No, don't swear by God. So definitely don't swear to him. If you can't swear by him, why would you even want to swear to him? And then don't swear. People will say, oh, my mama. Why? Why do that? You ain't got no control over your mom. You don't got control over yourself, obviously, because you can't control whether your hair turn gray or black. Can't swear on the earth. Can't swear on heaven. I just think that we're not supposed to be swearing. The only oath that you're supposed to take when you make an oath or anything like that to the Most High is based on something godly. Don't be out here taking oath to the Most High on something that ain't he don't even concern himself with. That's a waste of time, and that's a lack of respect in my eyes. But we all have done it. We all have done it. We all do it probably from time to time. But I'm just showing you that's evil communication. Don't broadcast that. Because people will look at you different now, and when they find out you lied and you lied on God, they're going to say, now the next time, guess what? Everybody, he don't even believe in God. Matthew 12:33. Let's see what this one is. Okay. I'm going to read it anyway, but I see what's going on. Matthew 12:33. All right. It says, either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by his fruit. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Y'all see that? Oh, I'll be telling y'all, people say what's on their mind and on their heart. They just come back later, but I was mad. I was drinking. They blame it on everything. Blame it on the alcohol, drugs, blame it on emotion. But what does this say? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Maybe you didn't mean to hurt the person. Maybe you didn't mean it the way that it came out, but there's some truth to it because that was bound up in there and it came out. And that's why I say, look, it's got to be good or bad. You can't have a good tree with bad fruit. That's lukewarm. That's a hypocrite. That's two-faced. Can you imagine tuning in? You tuning in to your gospel station at church. You don't have no musicians. We're just playing. We're going to play it on the radio. But the station is not what it says it is. And it just so happened when you tune it in, it's some crazy rap music and everybody is just, oh my gosh. And you're like, no, that ain't the station I put it on. But you got to think, that's what we do when 1 minute we talk about God and the next minute we can't stand this person. We hate them. We're ready to do this. We're ready to do that. And the person that don't know you or don't know any better, they are saying, well, I seen a good tree because I know this person, or maybe I don't know this person, so I don't know if the tree is good, but it's definitely bad fruit. At least be in your privacy when you do things like that amongst people who know you, so you can't corrupt it. So they know, okay, this is a good tree, just some bad fruit right now. They're going through it. They're going through the season that doesn't produce fruit at all. People have to understand and be able to handle what you're broadcasting. That's why you're supposed to have, as the world say, birds of a feather flock together. But in the Bible, you're supposed to take godly counsel. Y'all are all supposed to be amongst people that are like-minded, so they can handle the things that you are putting out or that you are dealing with. Verse 35. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. So notice, he's still talking about what's in the heart, right? And or the treasure, same thing. And he's saying that is where these things come from. So if a person, Nobody's perfect. We know that. So I'm not saying you're going to always be one or the other. But 9 times out of 10, you are what you are. So if a person is always bad mouthing, you know what? They might just be a bad person. Anybody can change. I've definitely changed. All praises for it. But at the same time, you can't antagonize a person. And then whenever that evil come out, then you're judging them for that because you have went after this person and you have caused the anger or the evil to build up in their heart. So yeah, it's got to go. It's got to come out somewhere. So that's why I say you can't judge a person for every single time. For every single thing, because you got to have some discernment. Even the Most High said, you know, his anger was waxed hot, and he said he did evil. That doesn't mean that he sinned. What he did was so bad, it's considered evil. Evil is bad, but he didn't sin. But at the end of the day, Israel provoked him to anger. So you can't provoke a person to anger because that's your communication. You can't communicate bad to somebody, and as soon as bad is reciprocated, now you're talking about, yeah, see, look at him, old real. He ain't got no business on the camera talking about God. Did you hear what he said? And it's like, do you realize what you said to me? So you gotta have some type of understanding on you're gonna get what you put out too. Remember, you reap what you sow. And we're talking about sowing a seed, and we're talking about an evil tree or a good tree or fruit. So you may sow a bad seed in a person from your communication, and not to everyone else, but the tree that grows and produces fruit for you is evil. Keep that in mind as well. 36. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give an account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. So at the end of the day, it's not just words. What you put out, you got to be held accountable for, right? So whatever your station is broadcasting, that's what you got to be accountable for. This is why certain stations have censorship, where it's like, oh, we don't cuss on this station. Oh, we don't play certain music on this station. They are censoring the broadcast because they know certain antennas or certain channels are going to pick this up. And this is not what we're promoting. This is not the message that we're trying to send. So it sounds to me that maybe we might need to be considering the message we're trying to send before we even broadcast. Let's get Romans 12 and 1. Romans 12 and 1. Good. All right. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So if you want your station to broadcast what's good and acceptable of God, then you have to transform and renew your mind, meaning you have to decide what you're going to send or what vibes are you going to send over the airwaves. You can't say, there's no station that's going to say, I'm just going to play all the music, no matter what, because you're going to lose so many people. Because if you got 5 genres of music and you play all 5 all the time, randomly, people are going to be like, well, I don't tune into them because 1 minute is this, 1 minute is that. I don't know what I'm going to get. It used to be like that on my wife Pandora. She put that thing on. Before you know it, I'm in one groove and the next one coming on. I'm like, I can't. I should have had one over this, but I didn't have it at that time. But you got to consider what it is that you put you got to consider what it is that you're putting out there, because that's what people are expecting from you now. Right now, next week, if I got on here and I started talking about a whole nother God and how I'm serving that God, they were probably like, hold on, he changed. What happened? There was no notification that he changed. I don't even know if I could listen to this anymore. And then the next week, I get on there and I'm talking about a different God. And it's like, okay, so in 3 weeks, we done got 3 different gods. Okay, I just don't even know what to do anymore. And here's why that's important, because you got people in today's time, this is what they do. They say, oh, we can learn, we take the best out of everything. We just listen to all people in all aspects, and we just pull what we want out of that. And that's confusion. Because now I can't live amongst you, because I don't know what you accepted from certain things. There's certain things I just can't deal with. There's certain belief systems that support certain things like pedophilia. I can't live amongst that. But if you're telling me I can pull from each and everything, that means, number one, you got a lot of different gods, so you have no sure direction. Number two, that tells me I got to watch you at all times, because there's something about the Bible that's not enough for you. So I got to figure out what is it in the Bible that you don't like. It might be thou shalt not kill, and I have made you mad. We can't go for that. So it's too much. You got to be solid. You have to be solid. Let's get Psalms 51 and 10. We almost there. Almost there. All right, that's Psalms 51 and 10. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. So somebody, the heart and the mind run together. So somebody had the understanding of not only my heart needs to be clean, I need a renewed spirit. I see people saying things like this on social media, and it's like, man, if y'all only knew, it's not even that hard, but you got to make a sacrifice to do that. So when you're talking about a clean heart, that's almost like a fresh start, because it's being cleaned, right? Obviously, it must be unclean. And you're talking about a renewed spirit. That's a refreshed spirit. You may be weary. You may be tired. I can't take it no more. I'm going through a lot. My spirit is getting weak, right? So I need a renewed spirit. But along with that, I need a clean heart. That's what will sustain you over time, so that you can be able to fight the fight. So we gotta do these type of things. I'm gonna read 9 anyway. It says, hide thy face from my sins and blot out all my iniquities. See, that's the first thing to getting that your soul clean or cleansed, as they say, the new mind, the clean heart. It starts with hide thy face from my sins, meaning don't see my sins anymore, but blot them out. What has to happen for your sins to be blotted out? Excuse me. So what? Baptism, but first the sacrifice. That's what clears the sin. The bloodshed. The sacrifice has already been made. At this point it wasn't, but the sacrifice was already made. Once the sacrifice is made, then which is now us accepting his sacrifice, accepting his blood, which is true repentance, because you accept it because you're turning away from sin. You're saying, I'm not going to do that no more. So I need you to forgive me for my sins. I'm accepting you as my final sacrifice. I want your blood to cleanse me, which is my heart, and renew my spirit. But I show that by accepting your death and dying with you. That dying with you is symbolic of me giving up my old ways. That old me is dead. So I lay down in the water and I get up a new or renewed spirit. But first, he said clean heart, because the word is what's going to clean my heart. There's no point in me getting in the water and having a renewed spirit just to walk around with an unclean heart, because I don't have that word in me. Have I really accepted the sacrifice then? Is his blood covering me? How could it be if I'm not clean yet? This is why I tell people, I don't care if you got baptized in church, if you had no knowledge of the covenant of marriage with the Most High, if you had no knowledge of what baptism is and means, if you had no knowledge that your heart was even unclean. A lot of people don't even know their heart is dirty because they think they're doing it right, because they stopped smoking a pack of cigarettes, because they put down beer, because they said, you know what, I'm going to show up to church. None of that is what erases the sins or refreshes your spirit, but rather the following of God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Not perfectly, but you should strive to perfection until you get there. And when you do those things, he says, that's when you get the clean heart and the right spirit. Now I'm going to read 11 and we're going to move on. It says, cast me not away from thy presence. So once you get that baptism, you get that spirit, that renewed spirit. Now you are in the presence of God. People always talking about, we're in the very presence of the Lord. No, you're not. If you unclean, you are not in his presence. He kicked people out of the garden for sin. Said, look, they can't be around me no more. I can show you where he said, I can't even walk amongst y'all no more. I got to go. It's too much going on. So to be in his presence, you have to have your heart cleaned. You have to have the renewed spirit. So that renewed spirit is the Holy Spirit. This is why it says, cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. He received that with the renewed spirit. Restore unto me the joy of salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit, because it's a free gift. We're going to move on, though. We ain't going to do that. James 3 and 8. James 3 and 8. We're going to end it here with James 3 and 8. All right. It says, but the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of God. All right. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not to be so. Do a fountain send forth at the same time, at the same place, sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine, figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh. So you got to choose your communication. It cannot be both. So spiritual communication is going to take place. You have to decide if your station is going to broadcast negative energy or positive energy. You have to decide those frequencies, how the energy are sent out when they get to people, where they be good vibes or bad vibes. When you're receiving, you have to decide, are you going to channel in or tune in with your antenna to the Most High or Satan ultimately? You got to decide, am I going to take this and go through this, or am I going to scan and skip over these weak stations because I have too much static in these stations? It's too much interference. So at the end of the day, tune in to the Most High so that you could broadcast righteousness from your station. And you do that by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, serving the Most High with your heart and your mind, walking in faith. That's the lesson, spiritual communication. Hope somebody got something. Thank you for your time. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Peace and blessings. I'm out.